Hey everybody, welcome to Dead Spot Podcast, episode 5. I got my guy here, Black, football coach over at SRJC. My guy, say what's up to the people.
So with it, appreciate it having me on, man. Shout out to Santa Rosa, your Bear Cubs.
Yes, sir. So for me today, we're gonna continue the conversation a little bit. You know, if you tuned into the episode I had a few weeks back with my guy Baron Kale, we were talking about SF recruitment and stuff, you know, as another one of the best young coaches in the city, coming from San Francisco, Bayview, to be specific. He also wanted to touch on that topic, so that'd be the first thing we talk. But it's not going to just be an all sports episode. We're going to kind of hit a few different things. But I just feel like it'd be right to start there. So the floor is yours, brother. What do you feel if you had to, pinpoint some of the things going wrong with the city football and basketball, just sports in general?
Right.
As somebody that coach as a JC,
right.
What you think is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak too much on basketball because, I'm more of a football dude.
Right.
So I'd rather just stay in my lane when it comes to that. But, for me, it's not really like a one-word answer or a one-topic answer type of thing. Like, when it comes to recruitment in the city, and I think I'm talking more like the AAA and like public schools.
Right.
I mean, those are schools that I went to. I see it a little bit in the WCAO schools, but more in the AAA. I don't think there's one answer. We can't just blame the students not being athletic enough, or the coaches not knowing what they're doing, or having enough resources to really help the kids, or it's not even just the school district or the school admin. I think it's all a collective, right? That's the problem that's really going on within the city when it comes to football recruitment. Is everyone has to get on the same page for this to work, because it's hard, bro. Being in the East Bay a little bit more now and getting around players that get recruited all the time,
right,
and helping kids get recruited now is just there's a lot that goes into it, right? And everything kind of has to happen in a way to where it can really help you be an investment for these schools, because that's really what it is, right?
Yeah.
Is these schools paying these kids, or not paying the kids, but these kids helping the schools, and schools giving them and paying them for an education. So getting back to your question, right, is what is it? I think it all has to do with each other getting on the same page. So it's there's athletes in the city, bro.
Right.
I think we're all on the same page when it comes to that, right? And I think even some recruiters will say, well, yeah, he's a hell of an athlete. All right, well, then how are his grades, right, and his support system, right? I'll be the first to say is that wasn't really my big focus as a young coach. I coached at Galileo in the city, and we did really, really well. Or we won a state championship, which was unheard of at the time. And to win that, you got to have athletes. You got to have football players,
right? In
which I think they could have played at the next level, right? But I was the head coach when I was 23 years old, and I wasn't really in the game like that. So it's I dropped the ball, right? I was on them about the grades, but not nowhere near where I needed them to be. Right. And that part is where I would take responsibility as a coach. Is okay, boom, I didn't do enough, right? So are all coaches in the city doing enough? Some are, maybe some aren't, right? I don't really know. But then it's the athletes too, right? All right, if a coach isn't telling you and I would tell them you got to have grades to go to college, right? But I wasn't sending them down and doing it like I really should have been, right? So and then it's all right, well, are you doing it yourself as an athlete?
Yeah.
Are you living in the weight room, living? Are you working on your craft, right? Are you spending more time outside of practice than just practicing, right?
And see, so to touch on that point really quick, I think another issue is a lot of our kids don't really know, they don't understand the dedication it takes, because they not really seeing it. Especially with football, it's a little harder because even with basketball, you got AAU, and so you traveling around the country. I went to play in hella different states when I was younger, so I seen a lot of more talent. So I seen okay, these kids are already 6'2", and we in the 8th grade. So, but with football, it's not really a lot of traveling teams. Right. So it's you was oh, if I'm the best player in my little area, you're not really thinking about the kid in Texas or the kid in Florida that's 2 times your size and maybe 2 years younger than you.
Absolutely.
So it's that's where I think coaches could do kind of just not. I mean, it's hard to travel, but it's let them see. I know at Bow, they had it was some type of camp, an Under Armour elite camp, and Coach Fred took some of the kids that thought they was really good, and and they came back. I remember they was wow, bro. So this is this is a whole different level. Like the kid, they was like the kids at these camps, bro. Like they talking about that's all they do is play football. It's like exactly on your weekends, what are you doing? But like if you don't know, it take that.
Right.
Like Val played a team from Seattle. It was the number 4 ranked team in Seattle.
Right.
They blew them out like 60, 70 to like 7 or something. And one of my students after the game was like, man, like, why is y'all so good? Like, he was just like, man, we live in Seattle. Like, bro, it rain all the time. Like, if we not playing football, we lifting weights. Like, we don't, y'all got this sun, y'all got beaches, y'all get to go hang out with your friends, go to the movies. We don't do none of that. Like, we get up in the morning, train, eat breakfast, train, go to school, train, do our homework. Like, y'all got a lot more distractions and things that y'all could get into.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I think I talk about that all the time, too, is like, we talk about, like, athletes in the city, like, where we're from, right, like, being from, right, the point is, like, when we grew up, right, we both were athletes in the city, and probably some of the best athletes in our class, right, the both of us. With that being said, is like, the people that we looked up to was, like people on the block.
Right.
Right, like, what was success to us?
Yeah.
Right, like, we go outside of our house and we see cars and jewelry and a lot of money and nice clothes, and it's like, okay, like that's what success looks like. Right. But then we get like to the East Bay, right, and where we are is like, who are their role models? Where a kid in Antioch in middle school, his role model was Najee.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that's what success looks like. Right. So for us, it's like, we didn't have no one like being a Division I football scholarship. Right. It's like, what does that even look like? Or who can I ask to be like, well, how did you get there? Well, there was no one for us to ask.
And I think, I think Bear touched on that too. Like, that's a big thing because, like, most of the people that was, like, the best players in high school that's older than us, like you said, they own the block now. So it's like, it's a lot of high school legends in the city that might have went to Mission or Lincoln or Thurgood or whatever, and now they hanging out, and it's like, oh, so that's the path. Like, go to high school in the city, ball out, and people remember you forever, and now you out here getting money. Like, that was what was cool. Right. But it's like, now that we older, obviously we see so much more. So it's like, but it's still like, and that's my biggest thing always is, I feel like us as people that work with students is in the districts and different things like that, we are in a constant battle with the street dudes, because it's like, do they listen to us or do they listen to y'all? Right. And like us, like, we not like big flashy people, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna talk about later like some of the stuff we doing in life, but we don't have big chains on and big Rolexes and all of that, like, so that's what they seeing, you know what I'm saying? We dudes in relationships, these other dudes got 20 women and all of this, so it's like they look cooler, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, y'all somehow gotta work with them to get everybody on the same page, like back in the day, like my mom them age, like the dudes on the corner was telling the little street, they was giving them money to go play sports. Like, they was giving them money to go buy some new shoes. Like,
okay, you got off here going 100.
Yeah, like, feel me? You just want me some money, or here goes some money, or yeah, bro, I see your shoes get messed up, bro. You might got a chance. Like, here go $200. Like, they not doing that no more. You telling the 12-year-old he look cool because he hanging on the block, and he made the little drop for you, or he went and did this for you instead of keeping them in school. So like, I feel like we got away from that as well. Right. So it's like, you almost look soft playing basketball now at 15.
You a nerd.
You a nerd for wanting to play sports instead of being out here on the block. Now these kids come to the schools. You see these kids, bro. They be fresh. They be having the newest shoes, all of the tech shoes, all of the designer. They might have 3Ds, but have $1,000 worth of clothes on.
Absolutely.
So it's like, because their parents trying to keep up with this image, they trying to keep up with this image of what they seeing in their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And it's not about the sports no more. It's not about school. Right. And it's just like...
And the thing about the city, too, is like, money circulates in the city. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's always going to be an avenue for you to make money in the city if you really look for it. Right. And you can be young, right? You can be in middle school, right? Like, in high school, it's like, well, are you broke? Right, and like, people get laughed at in the city, right, for not having nice shoes on, and for not having this and that, and that is like, where we come from is like, yeah, you're gonna get laughed at and looked down upon if you didn't have all this. And then when they don't have that stuff, is like, at a certain point they're gonna want to be able to get all that stuff, right, and then the focus leaves from school, right, and then you lose grades, and then your focus gets off of football or whatever the sport is, because you want to fit in, right? Like, you don't want to get laughed at and teased anymore, and I think that's a huge problem. It's competition. It's competition in everything. It's just sometimes the competition is not football or athletics, to where its competition is just fitting in.
Right.
Right.
And it's just like so, and it really go. Yeah, it's deeper than sports. Like getting these kids to stay focused is just so tough. Like we both work with the kids, so it's like obviously, I mean, we work with all kids, but I mean like the black and brown youth that come from similar backgrounds, like we kind of feel them and try to understand and help them, and it's just like talking to them, and you just can really see that they don't have nothing to really like hold on to, like where they believe in. It's like they be really feeling like the stuff that we saying is like it's not. It's just like we lying to them. They feel like they feel like we don't really care, or a lot of people that didn't work them over the years and just talk to them once or twice, and then once they was out of their class or something, like never talk to them again. So it's like, well, I'm 16 now. I done had 10 people lie to me like I'm not finna listen to you. So it just kind of make it tougher, like.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, we were working on the internship stuff and paying students to do programs with us, and like one of the students, he was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna use my paycheck to buy hella pairs of shoes."
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, you know, I'm a sneaker dude, so it's like in my mind, it's like, would I have done that too?
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm not sure. But is that the smartest thing to do, like with your money?
Right.
Like, hell nah, right? Like, I don't know, save it or like figure out how to successfully or and legitimately like flip it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like that is the hard part.
Right.
Another thing too, bro, is going back to like recruiting in the city. Is like recruiting is a lot like it's very relationship based. Right, like these college coaches at the Division I level, the Division II level, is like if they don't get out and actually get to watch the player play, a lot of it is like, do you have someone you can trust in that city to call?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, do you have a coach in San Francisco where, like, hey, coach, like, do you know about this player at this school or even at your school? And a lot of those relationships, I feel like, don't exist, especially in the AAA.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, can you, if you have a player on your team, can you call a Division I coach and be like, coach, take a look at this dude, and here's his film.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and then you begin, like, as a coach, and that kid turns out to be a baller, you begin to have a reputation of, like, this is a person that you can trust. When they say they have a dude, like, they have a dude.
Okay.
Right? And I feel like that's something that's, like, missing in the city, to where it's like, well, can you even help your own player get recruited?
Right.
Right? And, like, I know that's something I was missing. Like, honestly, like, if I was coaching that Galileo team now, or even like the Galileo team before that was in, like, I don't know, Kyle and them, right? They were really good, right? If I had the connections that I have now with those players, I feel like I could really, really help them.
Yeah.
Right? And being able to come. But I didn't have any connections at that point in my career. Right? Moving forward and networking, like, I think that really helps. And that's something that it's missing too. Yeah.
But another thing that you touched on, I just like you said, like, you know, I was young when I was coaching Gal, and like I didn't do all I could do. So like self-reflection and like not having an ego is a huge problem on every level. I feel like from, you know, the players thinking that they hella better than they are, to the coaches thinking like they hella better than they are, to the district thinking like they way more than what they, like everybody on every level, everybody can just sit back and kind of do a little bit of self-reflection on what did I do, or like what could I have done better. Like, and that's something you don't hear a lot. Especially from people with power. Like, we all know now as we getting higher, and like people with power, they got the biggest egos. Like, they feel like they know everything. So, okay, I haven't did my part to put these coaches in position to know these people. And as coach, okay, I haven't did my part to reach out. So if everybody willing to take a step back and everybody, we could work together.
Absolutely.
Instead of the district being mad at some of the coaches, and some of the coaches feeling like they can't talk to the athletic director or whatever, or whatever the situation may be.
Right.
So it's like we gotta all just take it because it's about the kids, and that's why we work so well together, because we know it's about the youth.
Absolutely.
So whatever we could do, if I gotta bite my tongue in this situation to help one of my students, that's something we'll do. A lot of people won't do that now, and these is people that have a lot of control. You know what I'm saying? And we're not gonna speak on no names, obviously, but it's like it's people that's there that's like in it more for their own personal gain at this point.
Yeah, but let's talk about the school district, right? It's like, let's just take a recent example. Like, San Francisco AAA didn't play football this season at all.
Exactly.
Like, not a snap of football.
Right.
Right? It's like, remember I started off with this, like, it's not just one reason, right? There's the players, there's the coaches, there's the school district, right? It's like, well, come on, bruh. It's like, do y'all care about football at all?
Yeah.
Like, does the district care about football in San Francisco? Because it's something that's dying.
Because like the WCAL, like Kel, his little brother played. Like they didn't play a lot of games. I think they only had 4.
Four.
But it's like 4 games is enough to get some film. Is enough to
Absolutely.
send to somebody to you feel me, get your name out. I know at least a couple kids that was like this their senior year, and it was like they was kind of like people thought they was kind of good but didn't know. Like the one kid that you was talking about that went to Bal, like this was his senior year, so this would have been his chance to really put some good stuff on film. And that was just a wasted year for them. Like and with the AAA already having as much problems as they have, they don't have a year to waste.
Absolutely.
And I know kids personally, like that I worked with that were football players that are now in the streets, like because there was no football season. That was the only reason why they were sticking in school. Now these kids was close to 3.0 students. They literally have all Fs and haven't been to Zoom in months. They own Instagram in the streets, and it's directly related. You can't tell me it's not directly related to them not having a sports to rely on. You get done with your sports, 7 o'clock at night sometimes. Now you catching a bus depending on where your school at. You getting home 8, 9 o'clock. You didn't already miss most of the fun going on outside.
Right.
Now you outside from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night just hanging out. Now you seeing everything. And they had to find a way. If the WCAL could do it in the same city, some of the schools not even that far from each other, why couldn't we figure out how to get it done for our kids? Like, and we only playing kids in the city. Right. They traveling to go play other schools.
Right.
I don't.
That's the thing too. Is like, there's so many high schools in the city, and there's not that many black kids. Right. Right, to play football. Right. And the kids that do, like, they kind of spread out and go to a bunch of different schools to where it's like, it's just kind of diluted. Yeah. Or there's some cities that all of the athletes go to that school, right, and they all play there. Or like smaller cities to where it's like 1 or 2 schools. Right, and that's the real thing. Like San Francisco got so many high schools that you can go play football at. Is like, man, I wish they would maybe not have a couple football teams at some high schools, and then have maybe 3, 4 max schools. And then if you want to play football, you're gonna have to go to that school. Yeah. Right, and at that point, it's like, okay, now you have better teams and you can compete better. Right, and I think that would help too. It's just getting the talent kind of circulated. Right, in a common space to where it's like, all right, now you're building a repertoire of like, okay, this coach is going to be known to having athletes, right? At Mission, they're known to having athletes, and TV's doing a good job at Mission, right? To where he's going to begin to get a name of like, okay, Julian Neal got out on a full scholarship. Now TV can call and say, well, I just had this kid get out, and now I have another athlete who, like I can vouch for him because I know what it looks like. Right. So it's like, I think that's super important. It's a long way to go, and I'm not sure we're even taking the right steps, to be honest, bro. Like, and that was hard.
We just got to build, like, the thing is, like, with RP, like, we got to be better at building off momentum. Like, when something happened, like, we got to catch it and run with that. Like, Julian making it out of the point to a D1 university playing football. Like, we talk about it and stuff, but, like, we should be, like, really pumping that up, like, to the full extent because then it'll be, like, because there's still some kids in the city that even though Julian lived in the city, don't even know he's going to a D1 school.
Right, yeah.
So it's like...
It's not publicized at all.
It's not publicized. So, like, I'm talking about for, like, 4th graders and the 3rd and the little kids. They should be looking up to people like Julian. Yes. People like the guy Kyle, and now he played baseball.
He plays for the Indians.
Didn't he just get called up?
Yeah,
But, like, a lot of people probably don't know he went to a AAA school. Right. Like, that's not really... So it's like, like you said, Najee is the middle school... Like, bro... in Antioch, bro, I'm driving down the highway when they was playing the national championship. They had billboards, Najee running for Antioch. Like, Najee was everywhere, bro. You go into a store, you go here, like, people was talking about it, was circulating. Right. So if you riding down the street and you in your mama back seat and you see, wow, he from here. Right. He go to Alabama. He their best player or second best player. Like, you could dream about it. Right. We don't have no billboards of people that then made it. Julian could be on a bill. It's that serious.
Yeah, we should buy a billboard. Huh? We should buy a billboard.
We could do it, bro. Let's talk about it because it's that deep. Like, they need to see it.
Nah, I agree. I think that's it right there. It's like it wasn't. That's how I go back. Like, San Francisco don't care about football, bro. Yeah. Right. It's like, man, when we won the state championship at Galileo and we were driving back, I've watched football movies.
Where's hella people outside?
What I was thinking was about to happen. Yeah. Like, oh man, first time a team has ever won a state championship. Right. Like, man, we're about to get celebrated. Like, this is gonna be dope. Yeah. Bro, we put up to the school. It's like 3 mamas with like balloons and like, congrats, like you did it. It's like, man, this is not what I expected, right? And maybe my expectations were too high, but then I realized it's like no one really cares about football in the city, right? And it's like, okay, well,
Like, bro, I was working with the kids at the time, and I didn't even hear about y'all winning. Like, when y'all first had won, I didn't know about that until, like, a little after the fact. Like,
Right.
and then I didn't even know until I met you. You like, yeah, I coached that. I'm like, oh, you was the coach that? He was like, yeah, that was me. I'm like, like, even that, like, I should have knew who you was as somebody that's into sports
Right.
and, like, love football, love basketball. Like, that should have been something that was a huge deal.
Right.
And for me to not know, I was kind of like, damn, that's messed up. Like,
bro, football games at 2:00
yeah,
on a varsity football game at 2:00 on a Thursday doesn't help no one
yeah,
at all. And the school district does it because, one, there's no lights at most of the schools. Okay, fine, buy some lights, boom.
Right.
But then the second thing is
Invest
like,
in it.
it'd be fights all the time.
yeah.
Right, like at every night game, like it's damn near gonna be a fight,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just kind of the politics in the city. Is like, and that's what the school district is trying to avoid.
But by
Like,
doing that,
right?
you hurting the kid. And one of the coaches, he commented, I had posted that, he commented on Instagram like, yeah, the games is too early and this and that. And it's like, that's definitely a factor, but we can't just like he was kind of trying to make it seem like that was the only reason. And I mean, that's definitely a part of it. Like, we used to have our basketball games at like 3:30.
Right.
So like, if you had friends that went to other schools,
They're not going.
they wasn't gonna be able to come to your games, or they might get there. It might be like the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter,
Right.
Like, or some they be like, oh man, I caught the end, or unless they was driving or parents was coming.
Or bro, like yeah, even thinking about like you just said, parents, right? Like how many parents can't go watch their child go play sports because they have to work at 3:00 on Fridays?
Exactly.
Like you kind of have to have some sort of privilege in which you can take off a Friday at 3:00 and go watch your child play sports.
Oh yeah, that's a good conversation. Like, that's definitely something that we could talk about for hours. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna have. I feel like as we get more people on, we discuss more about that. But I just want us to move on a little bit here. And the next thing I want to talk about is, you know, we grew up like, and we didn't even know this, but we grew up like around the corner from each other, like our whole lives. So it's like coming from where we come from Bayview, you know what I'm saying? Coming from single parent households and things like that, like. You know, now as we grow up, you know, we in our late 20s or whatever, we both like, well, I'm engaged, you close to getting engaged. We both own property. Like, I own the house that we sitting in right now. Black also own the house. So it's like, my question to you would be, what motivated you to get like to do that coming from where we come from? Because we don't really see it a lot, like on either aspect, like as far as like getting a good woman and settling down, and as far as like home ownership, and like where did that even come from?
Yeah, I just want to get this clear first. I own a condo.
Oh, here we go.
All right, and he owns a house. Like we're on two different levels just to get that clear.
Here we go.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I guess we're gonna start off like with the relationship stuff. For me, is like, I don't know. You know, like growing up where we grew up is like, you know, I never saw that as like a big huge thing, right? Like I've been in relationships in my life, right, and being with the person that I'm with now kind of changed my perspective, in all honesty, right? Like, she kind of told me, it was like, I want this, I want this, I want this, right? And it wasn't like I'm gonna leave you if I don't get this. Like, I didn't feel no pressure or nothing like that. But it was like, this is what I want out of life, and what do you want out of life? And right. I was like, honestly, I was just want some kids. Like, you feel me? I want a good job. I want to coach football, and I just want some kids. Like, I want to take care of my mom. I want to make sure she's okay. And that's what I would want to be happy in life. And she was like, you know, I want this, this, and that. And at a certain point for me, and this is the way I look at relationships, is like there has to be a sacrifice on both ends.
Facts.
Right? It can't just be like the dude making all the decisions or the woman making all the decisions. I mean, it can be, and maybe that's okay for your relationship. But right. I know if I wanted to be with her, it wasn't going to be like that. And she made that very clear, and I was cool with that. You feel me? Yeah, so that's kind of like where it was, like being in a relationship, and it's like I liked it. I was like I could do this. Like I said, we're getting older. Like time to kind of settle down a little bit. And like I was telling you earlier, bro, like when my pops passed away, it was like, man, I want kids, bro. Like I think that was the most beautiful thing in the world. Like I didn't live with my dad, but my dad was in every aspect of my life.
Right.
It was like, so when he died, I was like, bro, I want a son. You feel me? Like with you and like Lil Dev, like I see y'all, like wow, that's tight, bro. That's beautiful. Like he gonna like, I just think that's amazing. So So, I told her, it's like, I want kids, and this is what I want. She was like, I want to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't too big on the kids, although she wants a family. She was okay with waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't too big on the marriage thing.
Right.
And
So I was just trying to find you.
So we kind of came to a common ground, and I think that's where we are now. Communication is key, bro.
Right.
I think that's why I chose to be a communications major in college, honestly. It's because, like, my dad used to say it all the time, like, son, you got to know how to communicate. Like, it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, bro.
That's dope. I mean, and then for me, like, I mean, me and Angie, we've been together for like a long time now. Like, we've been together since high school. So, like, it's like all different things. Like, it was just so much, like, at every turn when it was like something might be going wrong in my life, like, she never, like, she was just always there. Like, she was always so hella supportive, like, hella had my back. And it's like, damn, like, I don't really have that too much, like, outside. Like, I got my mom, I got my sister and my granny, obviously, but, like, people that's not supposed to love you, like, it wasn't really a lot of that going on. So it's like even this podcast, like, Angie the one made me start this podcast, and she was like, you were talking about it for so long, like, I got all this stuff in my cart on Amazon. Like, if you serious about it, like, I'm just gonna buy this stuff and, like, let's just do it. Like, why is we waiting on it? And it's like, I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like, that's how we motivate each other, like, and then, like, we both had, like, these big dreams. Like, I knew since I was in high school I wanted 6 kids. So it's like, and I met her, and she like, well, yeah, I was thinking 5. So I mean, 6 not that bad. I'm like, for real? Like, everybody else I say think I'm crazy. So she was on the same track. I'm like, then as we start talking more, it's like, I want to own this, I want to do that, like, I want to be more than. And she was like, I was like, I hope I could do this. She like, well, stop saying like I hope, like, just say like you gonna do it. Like, she was like, you smart enough to do it, like, you capable. Like, I'm like, damn, she just as crazy as me. Like, this could work out. Like, and like you said, like, where we grow up, you don't see it. So it's like, you kind of got to just go off of feeling. Like, I just felt something with Angie. It's just like, she's special. Like, she different. Like, and it just, like, everything's like, I had kicked out the school we went to. They was like, oh, y'all not going to work out. Y'all go to different schools. Then I went to college. She was a year younger. It's like, oh, he going to college, so now he ain't going to remember you. And then we went to the same school. It's like, y'all going to get sick of each other. Then it was, y'all moving in together, now y'all rushing. And then it was like, at every obstacle, it was like doubters.
Right.
And we just kind of just kept on pushing. It's like, and that's like, when we talk about like marriage, like, we got engaged. Like, Angie wasn't even like thinking, like, we used to talk about it like, is it a big deal if we have kids first? Like, or what's the, like, she was like, I don't care. Like, our love is what it is regardless. Like, it ain't about the titles and all of that. But it was just like, for me, it's just like, I always looked at, like, I wanted to get married and have a family. So it was just like, even though she wasn't like pushing it or saying nothing about it, like.
Where did that come from though? It's like, because for me, like, I never grew up like I wanted to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, after my pops, but I didn't grow up saying I want to have kids, right? Like, sound like you did at a young age, like,
yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I grew up as like, but I saw my dad as the father figure in my life with a bunch of women. In all honesty, right? Like, he got married a couple of times, neither one of them worked out, right? And then, so that's what I grew up seeing, right? And that was my role model, right? So it's like, that's kind of what I knew. So like for you, it's like, and I don't know, you didn't grow up,
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean, bro, for me, like, I mean, I had a small family. Like, my dad wasn't around. It was just my grandparents, my mom, me, and my little sister. So we had a really small family. So, like, and I was just always big on family. So, like, I used to always just feel like, man, if I have a lot of kids, like, I could start a family. Like, if I have 6, like, and I'm a numbers guy. Right. Like, anything going, it start getting calculated in my head. So I'm like, if I got 6 kids, if each of my kids have 2, 3 kids, now I got 12, 18 grandkids. Now we building a Banks family, and like, we building something that's sustainable. If I got 6 kids, even if my sister only have 2 or 3, because that's about what she was saying, that's 8 or 9 grandchildren from my mom. Mm-hmm. Now we got 30 or 40 grandchildren between us when they start having kids, and then and they just start to kind of like multiply. Like, I like the movies where you watch and be like we want to own property, so everybody come to our house for Christmas, and it'd be like 50 people here, 60 people here, and they all family.
Right.
Our Christmases would be 6 people, 5 people, like, and that's how it always was. Like, unless as we start getting older, like, some of our friends will come over, like, oh yeah, bro, we done opening gifts. I'm gonna come over there kicking it with you and your family, like. But like, as far as just like hella kids opening gifts and all, like, it never was that at our house. Like, we had a lot of gifts and stuff growing up, but like, it ain't like, oh, this one for you, like, oh, this one, and it be like 20 kids. Like, that's what I always picture. Yeah, that's what I want. So I'm like, and bro, too, like, growing up in the hood, like, I was one of them kids that was just like, a lot of people, like, need to see stuff to be able to be like, I could do that. That was never me. Like, and I'm blessed. Like, I used to just literally lay in bed and close my eyes and be like, just dream my hand. Like, I used to have so many, like, just visions of, like, what my life was gonna look like. Like, and like, I just knew it was way more than what I could see. So like, that's why I was like, not having a dad, like, that didn't really bother me until I got kind of older. Because it's like, I knew nobody could be what I was on because I didn't feel like nobody was me. Like, and that might come off like kind of like brag, but like in my own head, like, that's how I used to really think. Like, I don't need to see somebody else do what I'm finna do because they can't do what I'm gonna do like me anyway.
Bro, I think the difference too, bro, with a lot of people is like, I think everyone dreams, right? And everyone says like, I want to do this, I want to do this.
Yeah.
What I've seen with you that's different is like you take the initial steps to start making stuff happen, right? Like you'll tell me like a year ago, like I want to do this or I want to have a second child at this, like, boom, Angie's pregnant, right? Like, so being able to execute like your vision and your dream, I think is like the next, it was kind of separates people.
And a lot of that, I mean, and it's really like just putting like what I wanted, like, plus like with Angie, like her helping, like her motivation, like to do certain things. It's like, cause like, you know, bro, we have conversations all the time, and they be starting. We might start on football and then get into owning property and all this other stuff, and really just wanting more. Like, bro, I always like, even buying this house, like, I'm never satisfied. I'm never like, as soon as we bought this house, it was like, oh, okay, cool, we bought a house. Like, this is big. Like, we was 25 and 24. Like, cool, we did that. But it's like, we had planned to do that. Like, we had a 3-year plan to do that.
Right.
So it's like, the plan worked. Like, that was the whole, like, we can't get here and act like, oh my God, we did it. That's what we've been planning to do.
Right.
So now what's next? So now it's like, oh, we need to be trying to work towards the rental property. Like, that's where my mind at. And that's where Angie be like, babe, well, I know we still want to do this, and that, but like, we still got to be proud of like what we doing, kind of stay in the moment. So like, she keep me centered because like my head be going 100 different ways. I got a bunch of ideas and just really kind of just waiting on things to go. And I just always knew I wanted to have more from my family and stuff.
Yeah, that balance is important, right? Like, and like finding someone that can keep you balanced is super important. I think me and my girl are very similar. She's kind of like you, like just rolling. Yeah. Do this, and this. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's. But bro, I know it's important. Like for us, like we talk about it all the time. Is like where we come from. Like people owning property and how that has helped our lives at a young age.
Right.
What was step one? Like, and I guess we both can talk about it. Maybe I can go first. But like, step one in owning property. How do you get started doing that? You know what I'm saying?
Like for us, and really, like we got a break. Like, so really, the first step for us, like, Brand, we kind of did it backwards. Like, the way we did it was we started looking up houses online and kind of seeing like, oh, we got to get 20% of this number. So we kind of just start saving towards a house that we seen that we liked. We just tried to save for like that ballpark. But really, like, and we were saving for 20%, and then we found out you could do the FHA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 3.5% down?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we've been trying to say to get to 20, so we was already in that mindset. So when it was 3.5, we had that.
Right.
So there was like, really the first step should be applying to get approved, because because real life, if you don't, like if you looking at houses first and then you not really seeing like what you can afford, because like they gonna tell you what you can afford. You looking at a $600,000 house, but you only get approved for $300,000. Like now you just wasted your time because you ain't gonna be able to afford that. So to me, I think the first step is like approving your credit, like getting you some money saved, making sure your job history is good. Like you gotta have a job for at least a year or so. Your credit, the higher your credit is, the more, like it might be a range that you might get accepted for, but the higher your credit might help you get a little bit more of that.
Yeah, that's huge, bro. It's like, I remember when I was buying my condo, they was like, I was in the transition of getting a new job, right? And then it was like, nah, you can't, like, don't leave your job now because you got to be able to show that sense of security. I think for me, bro, like why I bought the condo, so I had got the job at Santa Rosa, and then I moved to San Rafael with my girl, right? We lived together in a 1-bedroom. And I think our rent was like $2,400 or something like that. Bro, and I just was not surviving. I was swimming, boy, like literally paycheck to paycheck, having to go into my savings, which I didn't want to do, right? Like and then we were just swimming, bro. And at this point, like something I realized is like, man, I need to be putting this money into myself, right? And it's like, man, I'm paying all this money for rent, and it's gone month after month. It's literally just gone. I'll never see it again, right? So being able to buy property, like that was the reason why I did it, was because now when we pay our mortgage, we can pull that out if we need to, right? It's essentially putting all that money in a big ass savings, right? And at a certain point, I can pull it out and then buy another property, investment properties, right? Or buy my mama something, which I wanted to do, right? So it's like, I think that's the main reason on why I did it. And like for step one, so it's like understanding like your numbers. So step one for me is like being extremely disciplined and being able to save money. Like get a number, bruh. Like I put down 17,000 for my condo, right? It's like, well, it's not that much money,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like you can save 17,000. Like people blow money over the year. Like think about the money you just blew for no reason, right? Probably gonna get you to about 17,000. Now you have to get your credit right, like you said.
Yeah.
There's programs that can do that, right? And then you can
down payment assistance programs.
Yeah, FHA is like, yeah, man, it's a long term thing too. Like there's nothing that short term with this.
And it's just like knowing, like you said, like you got security. It's like I'm paying money that go to something that's gonna be mine. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, really, like I tell people when you think about buying a house, like set a goal for like a year from now of like, all right, like the way me and Angie do stuff is like, this is how much money we make in total, like for a month. This is how much we gotta pay out. So this is how much we got left after we pay all our bills and like when we was paying rent and stuff. Okay, out of that much that we got left for the month in the 2 different pay period weeks, we need to put this amount away. If we could do that, if you could come up with a plan, whatever your number is, I don't know how much people make, however much you is, come up with a plan. If you could stick to that plan for a year or 2 years, then that lets you know you kind of in the right position to own property. Because it's like this is not like rent where it's like, oh, if you don't pay, they just, you know what I'm saying? People, if you don't pay your stuff and you don't keep your bills, they'll take your house. So it's like you got to make sure you also, it's not just about having the money, it's not just about having the credit, it's about also being in the right like head space too, to be able to really do all that come with a house. Because you got to think about something go wrong, like you got to fix that. Like you can't call your landlord to come do this or do that. So it's like you want to make sure you got everything in order when you going to buy a house. And it's just like we feel like it's such a big thing. Like look at us, man. We in our, you know, I'm 26, you 27. 26 to 27, we both own property. We looking at even trying to buy more property. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not doable, and we're not rich. We're not sitting here with a bunch of money, or like we're not pro athletes or things like that. We just regular people that got decent jobs, and it's like it was focused.
It's obtainable for sure. I think it's a smart thing to do. It's scary, right? Like it's like something brand new that you might not have too much experience in. So. But talk to people, right? Ask questions, and then, but it's good to know where you at too. Like talk to like a realtor or someone that can help you like with your finances, and be like, I want to buy some property, and then they'll be like, okay, well you need to do this, and this. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to ask for help.
Right.
I think it's honestly the best thing that I could have done in the last year. Like I'm extremely proud of myself and my girlfriend for us to be able to do something like this, because equity is something crazy too, bro.
Right.
I think my house has gained over $100,000 in equity this year.
Yeah.
So I made $100,000 and I haven't done anything just by owning it.
Ours just went up some too. Like it just got a look. I'm like, that's cool to even be able to watch stuff like that. Like, you know, and I don't know, bro. Like our people, we just got it. We could do it, bro. Like we just gotta get out the mindset of this ain't for us. Like I feel like a lot of times, like the black community is like, oh, that's they stuff. Like they do stuff like that. We can't do stuff like that. Like yes, you can. Like it's possible. We here. We got just as many opportunities, and we need to like down payment assistance. Like even if you don't have necessarily the money to do it, like it's people that help you with the first time homeowner buyers process. Like they give you the money to pay your down deposit. Mm-hmm. So as long as you got money to pay your mortgages and pay all your bills, you could do it.
Mm-hmm. Man, then you setting up your family for success. Like down the road, and I think that was something that's huge for me too. Is like generational wealth is,
right.
And it's like a term kind of thrown around, right? But that's extremely real for me. Like I don't even have kids, and right, like I know that me buying this small 1-bedroom condo is probably going to be able to pay for something for that child, right, to be able to have something that I didn't have, right? And then boom, like maybe when I pass away, that condo gets sold to my children, and then my children can buy a property from that property, right?
Right.
And it's like that's how like you see like families that they don't struggle and they smile all the time, and it was because they have $20,000-$30,000 just sitting in the bank,
Right.
right? And I think that is what I'm trying to get to for my not for me, right, but for my kids and past me. I think it's the biggest thing for me, man.
And like that's important because like I mean I do have a son. It's like I told you, like we were just talking before we started family. Like the life we living right now with the jobs we have, we was able to buy a house. Like if we didn't do nothing else, like for me and Angie personally, like this would be cool. Like this is a good living. But like for our kids to be able to, like I talk about this all the time. It's like have property for like when little Dad graduated college. It's like, Dad, I don't know what I want to do, or like, Dad, I just need some time. Like, okay, well I got this rental property over here generating this much money a month. Like you could just take that income and then figure your life out. Like if you want to travel or if you want to, like people all the time talk about like if you watch podcasts, people are like, oh yeah, I traveled Italy for a year and then I came back and I wrote a New York Times bestseller, or I came back and I realized that my major didn't matter. I just wanted to start my own business, or I wanted to go into the art. Like I want our kids to be able to have the freedom to be able to say whatever it is they want to do, like really go after it. Really feel like the world is their canvas, like they oyster, like they could do anything. And a lot of times I can't speak for you, but for me personally, like when I was graduating, I told my family I wanted to take 6 months off. Like I didn't want to look for no job. I didn't want to go back to no grad school. I wanted to just travel. And they was looking at me like, what is wrong with you? Like, are you serious? Like that's not like we wasn't in a financial situation to where I could just take 6 months a year off because I'd been in school my whole life since I was 4 or 5. Now I'm 23.
Right.
I was ready to take, but I had to get right into it and start working because that's what it was like. I don't want that for our kids. I want them to be able to have the freedom. Like, if you find something you're good at, or if you want to start a business, like, okay, we already got insurance for you in your name, so that's your money. If you want to start a business, come with me with a plan. We could go get your money and start your business. Like,
Absolutely.
and it won't be me and Angie, it'll be you, but obviously as your parents, we here to help.
Right.
And like, I don't want our kids to have to get it out the mud. Like, we got it out the mud. So it's like, we don't need to keep generation after generation getting it out the mud. At some point, the mud got to stop. Like,
Right.
that's, feel me?
And it's like you're talking about like having financial freedom, right? Like being able to kind of like I wish I could go on vacation right now, right? Like, but either I'm gonna have to save these couple $3,000-$4,000 to try to buy a house right now, or I can go on this vacation, right? So I think that's what we want our child to be able to do.
Yeah.
Go on vacation, like go ahead, son. Like you feel me?
Yeah.
Go ahead and enjoy life because that's what we want to do. I think something like that. One of my uncles told me that I'll never forget is like having money is just like a tool,
Right.
right? To think about money as a tool to fix things,
Exactly.
right?
That
To
makes sense.
to fix whatever you need to fix and not physically actually fix it, but just having the freedom in order to help you out in whichever way you need it. I think what you told me that made a lot of sense. Like money is it's a tool.
Right. And it's like people say money can't buy happiness, but what it could do is it could put you in a position to where you don't have to worry about certain things no more, to where now you can focus on actually being happy. If you don't got to worry about my bills getting paid, and it's like, okay, well, I know my bills is paid for the next year. Oh, I know now I can spend more time focused on our kid. Like Elon Musk said, like the thing he liked the most about having money is if on a Tuesday morning he just feel like hanging out with his kids all day and he don't feel like doing no work, he could do that.
Right.
Like, all right, I'm not coming into work today. I got you and you that's y'all high enough to where y'all take care of it for the day. I'm going to take my kids.
Right.
I'm finna close down Disneyland and take my kids for the day. Like, that's the type of free, like, that's happiness.
Yep.
And it's because of his financial freedom is he able to explore the happiness.
Yep.
Now, it's still people that have money that don't invest into their family, don't invest in all of that. So obviously you still not going to be happy. But if you have like you remember like that's important, the money can help you do that. Like to help you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a lot happier when I haven't had to struggle financially.
Real
It's
talk.
like, man, I stress less and
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think it's important. I fight less with my girlfriend. Like,
Yeah. Like Angie, like me and her, like now we at it, like we not rich or nothing. Like what?
you
Like
kind of rich.
no, see we doing okay. So it's like if Angie like buys something or if she go spend a couple $100 here, like it's not like no, babe, can I spend this? Like that's a good thing. Like that's a good feeling to know. Like my fiance could go and spend some money here, or I could go and spend some money here, and it's like it's just like now it's gonna be like, oh my god, like we just spent that money, now we ain't gonna be able to eat for 2 days. Like, and it would have been a day to where if we spent a couple $100 in one day, we might not have ate the next. Like, not trying to ask our parents for money and just trying to get through. So like just like knowing my son, like he was, when we moved in this house, he was 7 months old. So just to know from like 7 months on, like he basically a homeowner, like, you know what I'm saying, like he had never know nothing other than this. Like
Right.
my other son that's gonna be born in a couple months, we done had a house. Like maybe like, you know, not, we might have 2 houses by the time our next son is, like, you know what I'm saying. So that's just, they ain't gonna never see. Like Angie grew up, her parents had a house, her grandparents on both sides had a house. So like for her, it was just kind of like she knew she was gonna have a house one day because that's all she ever seen. And that's like kind of like me and Angie graduated college. That's why we got our diplomas hanging on the wall. But yeah, I mean, just I don't know, just the overall picture of it, for like you said, like generational wealth. This is how you do it, and this is how you start. It start with you putting the effort in. It start with you coming up with a plan. Don't look at Dev and Black and say, "Oh, them 2 brothers got a house. I want to be like them." Don't, you gotta look at what it took to get here, like the build up, the process, to finding good women that you could go in with your own type of stuff like this. That's also in the same headspace. Like who you pick to be with for the rest. Like to me, that's the most important decision you ever gonna make, because like all of it stemmed from that. Like that also going with your kids and all of that. So I mean,
But that's hella important too, bro. It's like sometimes it's easier to do with 2 people versus
Right.
just one.
right.
Right, like having a partner and doing this stuff is hella important.
And that's why people be like, Dev. And that's the big part of it, like doing it with 2 people, because it's like people would be like, oh, Dev, like on Twitter, be like, Dev, you got money, this and that. Like that's me and Angie. Like, you know, we a team. But yeah, bro. So I mean, you know, this has been a good talk. We got some more stuff to talk about. My guy will be back. We have him back later on, a couple episodes from now. But appreciate you for coming on, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Good talking. You know, something you want to say to the people?
Nah, not really. Appreciate you. I mean, it was smooth. I'll definitely be back.
All right, y'all. We out of here. Peace. But yeah, man, it's like I was saying, that's that's just super important. But you know, I mean, we getting close to the end here. Probably got to wrap it up. My guy got to get going and things like that. But he'll be back. We got a lot more topics to discuss. We'll get him on. Actually, a couple more times. We'll get him on here. But appreciate you for coming, my guy.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the talk. Always good. Yeah, anything you want to say?
Appreciate you for having me, man. It was, like you said, it was a good talk. And, yeah, look forward to getting on again. Shout out to you, man. This is dope. I like this, so.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, anything we talked about that you want to discuss or you want to, hit us on Twitter, hit me on my podcast page, or you hit me on Instagram, Dev Spot Podcast. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, please like, all of that type of stuff. Yeah, man, keep working with me as we keep growing. I'm going to have more guests coming in. I'm going to have more people. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep getting better at it. But, hey, this is where we at. So, me and my guy, we out of here. Peace.